are you even eating enough? I have a lot of friends that come to me and say, bro, I can't even grow muscle. But then I look at their diet and they're barely eating, so they're eating like a normal person. If that's you, bro, you gotta start picking up the fork. Because eating the amount that the average person eats nowadays, so I'm not talking about the average American, just be cautious. I'm talking about the average person that claims to be healthy. So these people, these normal people, what they eat is probably like about 1/10 of what I eat in a day. So technically, what they eat in a week, I eat in a single day. That's why I'm able to put on so much muscle size, or even better, maintain my muscle size, since I've stopped doing so much hypertrophy and I'm now focusing on strength skills. Training strength doesn't properly give you muscle, it is more hypertrophy training. But since you're doing that, since I will assume that you're doing hypertrophy training and want to achieve muscle first and then want to move on to skills, or you can just do both, I will just assume that you need to start eating even more. Your ego might say, oh no, it's totally fine, I'm just eating the right amount, it is just some other habits or some other aspects that might be missing. Trust me when I say this, my friend also thought that this wasn't the issue, but it definitely was. So when I took a look at what he was eating, and when he said to me that he wanted to put on muscle size, I looked at him and I couldn't even tell if he was being serious or not. Because the amount that a normal person, like a normal healthy person, eats nowadays is not even anything compared to what you should be doing to put on muscle size. And despite these people calling themselves healthy people, like normal people, like they follow the Mediterranean diet and shit, I still see them eating like a lot of junk food, a lot of processed foods, so many cookies, so many, like I see them ingesting, like inhaling fucking simple carbs or other processed shits right in the morning. How are you supposed to even claim yourself healthy when you literally start your mornings with sugar and not fats and proteins? Before we move on to the types of food that you should be eating, which I also covered up in my calisthenics diet guide, which you should probably check it out if you're kind of lost in this entire diet space. You should know if you're eating the right amount. If you want to look like a fucking warrior, you gotta train like a warrior and eat like a king. This is probably the most common mistake I see a lot of people do when they are trying to put on substantial amount of mass in a short amount of time. It will suck for you, honestly, because I remember back at the times when I was doing calisthenics and athleticism at the same time. That was just a few moments after I noticed that I was losing body fat, but I was not increasing muscle size. That's when I realized that, hold on, maybe I should try starting to eat a lot more. So instead of skipping meals, instead of eating like half the plates of a normal person, instead of just filling my stomach with bread and fucking other dumb food, I started taking this shit so seriously that I began to eat like 4 to 5 to 6 times more than I was usually eating. So the normal person probably eats about like 1 plate. Let's call the units 1 plate. And what I was eating at that time was like double the plate. I was repeating the plates like 2 to 3 times. And honestly, this really fucking messed up with me for a while, because my stomach was always like kind of upset, because this was in a time where I had anemia and my stomach was kind of sensitive, so that kind of messed with the flow of my gut health. But then it stabilized. So in the first few weeks, or in the first few days or weeks, you're going to feel like probably absolutely fucking filled, or you might even question yourself if the amount that you're eating is healthy or not. Eating a lot actually helped me fix that condition. Instead of always feeling down, always feeling tired, always feeling like complete shit, after I began eating a lot, like my stomach would be kind of upset, sure, but I not only increased substantially my muscle size when I started eating like a fucking jerk, but my health also went up. Like when you look at the person that lacks iron, so has anemia, you can definitely like understand that something is wrong. So these are the types of people that walk around slugged, really tired, and you can totally tell that their entire energy deposit is empty. So that was me, and after I started eating a lot, that condition fixed after a while. I not only became more healthy, but I also expanded my stomach, and now I'm used to ingesting large amounts of foods, but my muscle size went up, and that's what matters in this video. But of course, we will always try to balance muscle size with health. So you don't want to have large amounts of muscle size, but your health is at peak down. That's what people on steroids do. They get a really nice muscle size increase, but then their health in the future will go straight down. The next mistake is the type of food that you are eating. I'm not gonna cover up so much about this topic in this video. You can search it up on my YouTube channel. I have the diet, the perfect diet. You can look at that video if you want to substantially grow even more. So I'm just gonna do a quick resume. You should be eating a lot of protein, a lot of fats, but good fats. Don't fucking go on trans fats and like that kind of shit that goes into processed foods. You want to completely avoid that. So you want to eat good proteins, good fats, and you may or may not need carbs. But honestly, in your initial stage, you can literally just eat anything, and that will still make a substantial difference on your physique. You might look bloated for a while. You might look like a fucking bloated potato for a while. Like your face might get chubby, but your physique will still be lean, kind of, in calisthenics. But today's discomfort will become tomorrow's satisfaction. So just trust the process, eat a lot, and eat clean, please, if you can. Don't go on to fucking McDonald's and start fucking eating the entire menu there just because you want to get in the calories. I don't recommend that. If that's your only option, sure, go for it, but that probably isn't the case. So try to always go for clean diet. Eat large amounts, eat clean, and train like a warrior. So how do you train like a warrior? You probably search some plans on YouTube, like how to grow muscle and shit. There's a lot of controversy like in this area, whether you should take sets till failure or not. My recommendation is take it to complete failure. So the reason why I say this, when you take to complete failure, you're at least doing it correctly. You might break the form a little, it's normal, like you can, but at least you are still engaging your muscle entirely. So the difference between this and what I see most people do, which is just training until you feel like it. 3 sets of 8 reps and that's it. I cannot do even more. Otherwise, I might not grow muscle. That's not really so effective because there are a lot of flaws to this type of workout plan. The first one is that if you're doing calisthenics, which is probably the case, you don't have access to more weight to do 8 reps like until near failure. So that's one major setback. If you are doing push-ups, which is a relatively easy exercise, you want to be doing a lot. You don't want to just do 8 and for 3 sets. That's not how you're going to grow. The same for the pull-ups, the same for any other exercise in calisthenics. So, and the other aspect is that you're limiting yourself without even knowing if you're doing things correctly. So if you're doing these 8 reps, so these 8 pull-ups, it is really crucial that you need correct form. So really nice correct activation so you actually engage your muscles properly. But I see people that are doing this kind of plan with the form that others are doing in this type of plan. So on this plan you can totally break your form a little to get in more reps as long as you can still fatigue your muscles, whereas here you probably need to control more how you perform the movement and the isometrics or whatever exercise you're doing. So this is where the flaw lies in. Most people are doing this kind of plan, which might not even be bad, but they are doing it incorrectly. And if you are one of these persons, I really recommend you moving to this one because it's so much easier. You don't have to count reps, you don't have to fucking rest exactly 2 minutes, otherwise your muscles will like literally just blow or disappear. So this plan is a lot more free, it's a lot more natural, it's a lot more esoteric, let's call it, because on this type of plan you only need to like do 4 is a magic number, so 4 sets. Actually you can do more, you can do 3 or 5, whatever you prefer, but just make sure that you are taking things until complete failure. Otherwise, I'm not gonna say you're not going to grow. You're not just going to render as much muscle growth as you would if you would take things until complete failure. Sometimes it can be the opposite. Sometimes taking until complete failure can also be worse than doing these clean reps, but that will be for the future once you have more knowledge and once you have more strength and once you have like kind of your dream body. So for the next few months you want to actually stick to this plan, which is taking things until complete failure, and I guarantee you the workouts are going to feel just phenomenal. You're going to feel much better. You're like, if you're one of these persons, no, it's not even one of these persons, like there will be a point where you will actually like being sore. Like today you work out and you will actually love feeling the soreness tomorrow. That's when you know that you did a great workout. This is kind of bro science. Sometimes it's not always this way, but it's mostly is. And by making the workouts more enjoyable, guess what? You're more likely to stay consistent with. So you're more likely to stay committed to it. You're more likely to feel motivated to go, which is also better, which will allow you to go even harder on those workouts. So it's only plus points on this type of plan. This one also has its advantages, but I find it really unpractical for beginners or for intermediate. In my opinion, it should only start to be applied for like more advanced people. So people who have already achieved their dream body or their desired goal. So for now, only stick to this plan, which is taking things until complete failure. And I'm not talking about complete failure when your muscles start feeling a little pain. Don't be a fucking pussy. take things until complete failure, until you have no more strength to literally just lift yourself up or push yourself. And this is another mistake that people do. People that do this kind of plan, they don't take things until complete failure. And let's say your maximum is 10 push-ups. Like at 10 you're already dying. You can probably fit in like 3 to 5 more push-ups. You can break the form a little, but just take things until complete failure. Feel like the chest, your shoulders, your triceps, feel everything burning. But just make sure you are doing it kind of correctly. There will be a point where your form will not compensate for the effort you're doing. This is usually where you're just doing push-ups like a fucking chicken. Don't take this in a bad way, just take it as a reference to know when you should stop doing push-ups or any other exercise. When your form becomes so terrible that it actually you don't feel the correct muscles anymore. You're just doing things randomly. So these were kind of the aspects that I think that will help you a lot, and technically nobody or really few people are talking about on YouTube. And these were tips that actually helped me grow and helped my friends also grow. I have a friend that he claimed to be eating a lot, and then I looked at the amount of food that he was taking, and it even sounded like a joke. Like, you gotta eat more. You gotta get this in your head. Something has got to click in your mind. You gotta eat more. And as soon as I convinced him to start eating a lot, which was like a lot of time until he actually got the idea, the time span that he was eating like a complete jerk, he grew substantial amount of muscle. So he grew a fuck ton of muscle compared to the rate at which he was growing. So if you're an intermediate and you might be afraid that, oh, my beginner gains phase is fading away and that I might not be able to grow as fast. But if you just do the right things, you can probably achieve a similar or even faster growth rate compared to your beginner phase, where you usually grow a lot of muscle. Don't worry about that. In the 1 or 2 months that he was eating like a complete jerk, my friend, bro, I remember looking at his physique 1 month later, and I was like kind of scared. How the fuck did you grow so much? Like, his shoulders literally just grew like probably 2 centimeters or 3, and his waist and his chest, his shoulders were also wider. And probably feels like I'm exaggerating here, like he gained 10 kilos of muscle mass, which wasn't the case. But compared to the rate at which he was building muscle and me seeing him like 1 month later with that body difference, it made me fucking just open my eyes like, holy shit, bro. I genuinely hope that you start picking up the damn fork, that you start eating more clean and better, and you start training like a fucking warrior. And I really hope that you apply those things and admire with the insanity of how fast you can actually progress. Don't actually expect results overnight. This is something that usually takes like a few weeks or months to notice, but you will definitely notice the difference in growth rate compared to earlier when you were eating like a fucking wimp or training like a fucking pussy and eating garbage. So yeah, that's it. Kisses. Mwah.